Hawk, welcome back in as we get going into the final couple hours here on, we're holding to some key levels. However, there's a couple of question marks still yet to be answered here this afternoon. Here's one of them. This is the dollar straight higher all day long. You can see this was from about 8:30 this morning. We got a number that was the cost of employment, suggesting that wages across the board were back higher on a month-over-month basis, both for benefits and for individual employees. So not good as far as the employment situation is concerned on the inflation front. Anyways, remember, non-farm payrolls coming up Friday morning this week. We'll get a look at how the overall job market is doing. But dollar strength back in action here this afternoon, 0.5% right now for the DXY. Back to the upside, it was significantly lower if you were with us early on in the pre-market. We have Frank Caberna coming up this afternoon. We'll tee up what's coming up tomorrow, obviously, with the Fed. We'll get the interest rate decision, no change across the board, but it's going to be about what follows that at 2:30 with the press conference. Yeah, all of these real estate-related stocks getting cracked right now. Here's Open Door. You can look at Redfin, you can look at Zillow, all same story. Downside, there's Redfin, 12% right now. Zillow, same story. All getting cracked on that Missouri headline in regards to commissions. So not good if you're in that group as far as the afternoon is concerned. Otherwise, the market kind of hanging out here, waiting maybe for Fed Chair Powell coming up tomorrow afternoon. Rates overall have been pretty choppy. Longer-term rates did start the day higher. They are coming back in a little bit right now. So as far as what to expect tomorrow from Jerome Powell, might be more, as I said, about what is to come not only in December, but maybe into the beginning of next year as far as what they are planning for the overall market. As far as what we were talking about this morning, if you joined us early on in the pre-market, make sure you're doing that every single day. We're on at 8:30. We get you set for the day. Here goes Tesla, guys, through day highs right now. 2.3% back to the upside after an ugly, ugly day yesterday. It was 5.5 plus downside yesterday for Tesla on that battery note from Panasonic. I got to hand it to Randy. He was here early on this morning talking about how this is probably no big deal. Here we go back upside. About half of what we went down yesterday claimed back here.
Yes, sir. I just realized we don't actually have free locates on Open Doors. We'll get to that in a second. There's an iceberg order at 190 on door, but if I don't get the locates pretty fast, it's not going to matter. So Tesla, it's blown through. You heard Adair mention this actually right before we came here. You've blown through that 200 level on Tesla, so you can throw out the weakness of the last couple of days. Looking at that last couple of days was a flat bottom break at 205-ish. If you look at Thursday, you go into last week, obviously, Thursday and Friday. If it gets up there, that's that next point that I think you find some weakness on Tesla. So it's definitely on one. It's now above that 200 level. I have one short on. Like anything that's short is mostly broken tops here. Although obviously want to be taking a look at Open Door and some of those real estate names. But Tesla, 204, 205, like that's the area that I think you can look for the top, just based on where this was last week and support turning into resistance. But as a matter of fact, Affirm just took out the high of the day. So that is the last one for me. I should have held on to an Intel long, but I did not. Tesla, let's see how it responds if it dips back into 200. That could be a nice place for a bit of a dip buy. Maybe even the 201, but the trend has finally come back to the upside, at least for a day here on Tesla.
Yeah, we're still short everything here, but Tesla, we didn't write it. Actually, we did have it. We had 202 written down as a possible short here for Tesla. So let's have a quick look. Ooh, we are now at 202 for Tesla. So nice move upside. Obviously, the market is continuing this upside push right now. So we'll get out of our AMD short 98. We talked about that. That one did not work out. Meta possibly here, the only one that's not green now on the day, it seems like. So we're still short that. But I like I like Tesla here. 202 could be a good possible. But, when I look at this, maybe it's 204. So just looking right into there, 204 and change. Decent opportunity to get short. So we, maybe, I don't know. It's up, though, today. So, fighting the trend in an up market has not worked out for us. We'll try to keep, like I said, we're having a big day here. So we'll just keep on doing what we're doing and staying focused on some of the names that we already currently have. Palantir was a great one as well. But, yeah, Tesla. Nice to be above 200 bucks. That's for sure. So we just bought some at 205. We talked about that in our long-term portfolio. So we'll see if it can hold this bottom of 202.
Just noting Microsoft rolling over here a little bit, but there was a bit of a move back to the upside through to potentially day highs here. Hopefully for Microsoft as well. They did release that AI version of the quote-unquote Copilot today for Softy. So kind of interesting as far as Microsoft is concerned. Let's talk some NVIDIA. Chips in general have been a little lackluster all day long, the initial move downside for NVIDIA. What a reversal underway here, though. If you go to the daily chart, I mean, huge wick coming into play here now. There was this note this morning. I mean, this is just an opinion piece. There's not a lot of evidence behind this, but $5 billion potentially is what these new China restrictions are going to cost NVIDIA, guys.
As we said this morning, like it's not chump change, even though clearly there have been ways around these in the past. You know, at some point, maybe it's actually going to stick, and you're going to see a material problem here. So 400, check that. 400 was breached today, and it was a liquidity grab underneath 400. Like when we talk about liquidity grab, you mean a level breaking to the downside. You don't hang. The second you're underneath that level, it's really more buying than selling. So support was 400. Once it broke, is one candle down, then it's just a bunch of buying underneath, and then reestablish support exactly at 400. So that's a classic liquidity grab. I think that's a level you're still playing off of, at least until we retest these teens. I don't think we get to the teens today. I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't really say never, but we closed at 411.5, and the stock is still down 1.5% overall. That's how nasty it was earlier. So I do think you're looking at previous close as resistance for the afternoon, as opposed to today I had resistance at 415. That's where I wanted to short it, so I'm not going to see that today. But 411.5 is where it closed. So around that area, I think NVIDIA is a fade. Great liquidity grab if you got under the 400, if that was your look. I'm now in Open Door. We had to pay 1/8 of 1 cent per share for locates on Open Door, but we did have to pay for them. And just to quickly go over it, the reason this one over the others is like it bounced after that real estate news, and then this started happening at $1.90. So I mean, you can short $1.90. This is literally 191. So you risk like 2 or 3 cents if it gets even to the low of the day again. You don't really see that happen very often on flash news, where after a bounce, it just holds the exact same level. Usually it's like dancing all over the place. Like Zillow is dancing all over the place in its bounce, whereas Open Door is just sitting here at 190. So I just took that one to the south side. Following the news a little bit, but if it can't go higher, a lot of times it's break back up or retest the low. So if it retests the lows, I like the R&R there.
NVIDIA. Okay, we're short right now AMD, not NVIDIA, and you know, AMD with the report tonight. So that's, to me, that's the interesting thing here, is looking at AMD, trying to get that short. We were just stopped out of it, but now I'm going to give it to the high of the day, which is 98.30. It's 98.27, and we're short here at 20s. So that's why we're taking. I mean, I'm already out of not half, but 40% of it down here for 1-to-1. As you can see, here we go. Here's all the fills just happening right now. So there's our stop out. So we got stopped out at 25 break. So basically we have the high of the day there as well. But shorting all into 98, paid out pretty well early when we were shorted. Let's see if it can pay out late now on this move back down. I mean, obviously we're going to need to have some help here. I thought I was bidding 08's OIM, but I'm on. See? Need to be on a free gateway to get that fill on stupid NASDAQ or something. But hopefully it comes back in. We won't have to worry about what gateway we're on when we do choose that. But yeah, I don't know. I just, you know, coming into earnings here today, hasn't really traded that well lately. This is not a prediction on earnings. It's just, you know, trying to go short against this 98. I mean, 98 was the top there. But when it gets going, it gets going. So we are well aware of what the potential here on AMD is, especially to the downside, or to the upside, sorry. Give me those. See, I'm still not getting them at 02. Okay, there we go. Finally, we got 07, 08s. All right, so that's that. We're short AMD. My next bid is downside on that, down near 98 flat. We're just trying to go 1-to-1 on this trade. Market's up. It's been a beautiful day again here. So just stay in the pocket with the strategies, and I think you'll be fine. So we're going to keep shorting AMD until we break that high of the day, which honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it did. I just want to be short here. Want to be short the market. They faded all these big earnings plays. We've got Fed on deck, we've got Apple on deck, and there's AMD. And now we've got AMD down here on deck tonight. So we'll take some 05s and 06s there, and then let's see, because again, this has been a good trade for me. So far so good here. I hope you're enjoying everything today, including these ridiculous costumes.
Yeah, cue the downtick here for the overall market as well. I mean, the S&P a little bit stronger today. It's been a different kind of a day in that it's been about the S&P leading the way back higher versus the NASDAQ, as we've seen over the past little while. Another strong name so far today, Pinterest still hanging out here right at day highs. Nice retest of aftermarket highs right out of the gate this morning. And then there wasn't much to do until we got to day highs. I was just going through some of these analyst moves this morning. As it is with any earnings report, pretty much everyone has to weigh in on what they think on that. There's probably 10 or even 12 in here, mostly positive as far as analyst moves after a decent report, and a increase of the forecast, which they always like as well from Pins.
Yeah, and Pins, it's a $30 level. That's what we waited for today. There was a flush right at the open. I thought you'd get the pop and fade a little bit tighter to 30, so missed the first trade, tried off the local high there. Didn't scalp it, should have scalped that trade, didn't do it, and then just took it out. Then we did scalp these highs because it's been essentially 30 to 29.5. So I'm on the offer now to start it in the mid to high 80s into the 30 level. But it's at this point, it's a scalp trade. 30 breaks, this is up 19%. On the daily chart, why like 30? Okay, well, here you go. On the daily, this stock is $20 bottom, $30 high for a year now. There was briefly underneath 20 bucks a year and a half ago, but it still can't seem to close above the $30 level. And when it does, it spends one day there and then it comes right back in. So great earnings for them. It's just you're running into resistance on the chart. If this starts breaking out at $31, it gets a little more exciting. 31, 32 goes. The stock all kinds of potential for a breakout, but the daily just speaks for itself. And in this market, if there's resistance, you're pretty much good taking it, or at least you should be taking it, because most of the times it's led to some good day trades. So Pinterest 30 up 19%, but it hasn't really continued through 30 yet.
All right, we're gonna give this one a little bit more room, I believe, on this AMD trade, because we got more than half out on the downside there, as we kept talking about it. We got 05s, 06s, things like that right there on AMD. So we're just going to give this a little bit more love. But then just 98.35, if that breaks. It's a nice little spike here. I do have some bids to cover back down through 20, like 20s, and then I have some 18s and stuff like that just to get some out, because honestly, no matter what I think about the market right now, my own personal belief that the market's probably heading a little bit lower, it is tricky to trade these earnings calls, right? And so not that there's no call right now, but it is trying to make a call when a stock has earnings. So let's get some more out here. Actually, I thought I had a 20, but I didn't. I had a 19 there, so we missed it. But anyways, the idea here is to get out. There we go. We got a 20 right there. Get out of these as we regroup a little bit here. The market's up. So although we did have 98 shorts here, written down on the sticky note, things can change, and the market is at the highs. I'd like to be able to hold this, so we are going to try. I'm bidding 15s to get a little bit more out, but for right now, it's AMD on my mind, 10 cents more than this, and we will get stopped out, but we are already getting lighter and lighter on that trade. Meta, is that on the board? No. Okay, so Meta here keeps dancing around 3 bills, man. We're short all the way up here. We're short basically at the high of the day for right now, 301.50, and it just keeps on bouncing around 299.80, which is why I'm sitting here waiting for this thing to break. Like, it's still down on the day here, Meta. Pretty good, down 1%. Hasn't really got going off this $300 level, so this is the name that I'm going to try to hold. AMD, no. AMD is strong, so we're going to wait, get out of that one. Palantir, we'll talk about that in a while, but Palantir's actually, well, it goes NVIDIA, Meta, and then PLTR. We'll talk about that when time is right, but just watch out. This is my most slippery position. It's AMD. It is going to come out. I feel like this name is really strong. We're going to have to flip long on AMD just in a matter of time.
Power of podcasting. Just to jump back to Tesla real quick. I mean, it's Rogan, so it is what it is. But 2.25% here. This seemed to coordinate, this move through 2 day highs seemed to coordinate with Yeah, Elon, apparently a Rogan Elon podcast was released around midday or so today. So not sure anything was said as far as comments on that, but Elon back on Rogan again today was just released. So heads up on that. Nicely strong, as we said, for Tesla on the day. Let's talk some Chinese ADRs. Some of the Chinese EVs specifically, not good so far today. Here's Alibaba down 2%. Trying to recover a little bit right now, back to 81.5. It's been a struggle for all of these today. If you missed it this morning, we were touching on just briefly. PMI data out of China overnight was much worse than expected. So big gap here for most of these to the downside today. I mean, they did try out of the gate this morning, but wasn't much of a recovery.
I just saw in the chat someone saying Warren Buffett bought more of Oxy. You just gotta buy every dip as long as he's on the bid of that thing. It's completely insane. I'll get this out of the way. I thought NEO was weak enough to get to $7, 52-week low. It didn't happen, but that's the trade I'm looking for next on the Chinese ADRs. Actually, I probably don't need a $7 bid right now because it's unlikely to get down there. But yeah, 52-week low on NEO was at 7. You can see it just straight up trending into that price. So today it already bounced. That's why no point having that order. It bounced off 718. I was looking much tighter to 7. My bid was down at like 703. Alibaba, I like the short setup. It didn't happen. I liked it off of 83. There was no press remotely even close. Like it got to 82 and then turned. I suppose if it gets to 82 this afternoon, another 30, 40 cents, I'd probably put the short on there. Bad data, bad looking chart. Favor the short until proven otherwise. So that's what I'm talking about. It just doesn't always have to set up. But Alibaba looking rather weak, once again down 2%. That NEO trade, like I don't care what day it gets to 7. Like that 52-week low, it feels like we're going to see it. I will try for the bounce off that level probably at least one time, whatever day it happens to come in. At this point, it's like 6 till on. I think at some point it's going to be a buy. But the $7 trade to me is just like an even dollar if it gets there.
So we got stopped out of AMD there, but I'm still thinking I still want to go short, but I'm not just going to keep doing it. The market here, 14.5, so that's the level that we're kind of bouncing off here in the NASDAQ. I mean, we're going to have to wait now, honestly. Like, there's 14.5. I still think we go down, but you know, you can't just keep shorting and shorting and shorting over and over and over again. So,
oh yeah,
Kit Kats, thank you, my friend.
Oh, Miss GME.
As hopefully it ends today, as all the candies.
Oh, no, it begins today.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much?
My house. That's
you know how much G and Bear are going to come home with.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
They can't eat all
how
that.
much they're going to come home with.
It gets so like we're always eating candy for the rest of the year.
Man,
But thank you very much, Randy. So Tesla, did you see Tesla move?
Um,
Elon on a podcast on Rogan apparently is enough for it to go upside.
Yeah, that's more than enough. 202. All right, Randy. So you're not bullish nor bearish today. You kind of got a mixed opinion there. All right.
Let's touch on a few here that we were discussing. If you were with us this morning, we mentioned GE Healthcare was one of those on a decent report this morning. Back to the downside right now, but did give you an opportunity out of the gate today, still holding on to 4.7. They beat across the board. There's Caterpillar, obviously. Shout out to Sharif. I know he was very interested in this one. Hopefully, he'll be back with us tomorrow. Feeling a little under the weather if you missed it. 16.8 billion versus 16.5 for Caterpillar on the quarter. And then if you're watching last night, I actually put it on for a few minutes. I don't know why, but I put it on for a few minutes. But I mean, the biggest headline was this: 7,200 all in for basically the full jammed new MacBook M3 Pro. So digest that a little bit. They also put a whole bunch of stuff on sale, including the 4K version of Apple TV. Ramin, thanks. The 4K version of Apple TV, AirPods Pro, HomePod, Watch Ultra 2, back to $799. So some pricing changes coming from that event last night, along with that hefty MacBook tag, guys.
Yeah, it was so close. I mean, I did take the 170. But it's 171 that I thought we were getting to when this market showed all the strength in the world. I didn't get in. It got to 75. It looks like that might be it. We'll see. If this ends up being the high on Apple, yesterday it was 171. Today I came in with the same idea. just stick to the same level and see what happens. But I didn't quite get that fill. If it bounces from here, maybe look for a lower high. Caterpillar, I don't really see a trade. We talked about this. I actually think Caterpillar has a decent chance to test 200. Got a bad wick on the daily, but it's already broken the 200 period. You look at where the next support is, and there's all kinds of it at that $200 level. So if it gets down here, I wouldn't be surprised to see Caterpillar settle down at about 200. When you have capital costs, I mean, the cost of capital at this point in projects is going higher, and some concerns about the economy overall and spending, you're going to get a pullback. It's already been healthy. That's why I think the 200 level looks really juicy, because there's already been a healthy pullback going into this. I'd look for it to level off at that level. Note to everyone in the chat who was mentioning GameStop. So GameStop is up because of reasons. I mean, I don't really know why. Does GameStop need a reason to go up? Sometimes it's just a relief rally. It's up 7%, but here it is. Last week, there is a big resistance for multiple days off of 1380. So I see that. I'm like, where is the level to trade? Gets up there, makes a bit of a curl. So I'm into the consolidation short off of that high in GME as it starts heading to, well, I mean, continues heading to the upside. But I think I want to be fading it. I'm not buying it at these tops. And chug of all trades, I am not a Power Ranger nor the Flash. And I am also not the Freeze, that Atlanta Braves dude who races people on the field. It's Frozone, baby. From The Incredibles, because that's what my daughter wanted. I actually, no word of a lie, I'm going out tonight in the full Jedi costume that you guys saw Obi in. Like, I had the exact same costume, except I have the full thing, like the belt and the hood. So it's a good thing I didn't wear that today, because then Obi and I would be in the same thing. But my daughter wanted me to do this one because she's a big fan of The Incredibles, so she gets to see Daddy in this costume, which I'm sure she'll enjoy. It is a pain in the butt, and I do have the glasses to go with it. It's just I can't see crap out of them, so I can't really wear them.
Yeah, things we do for our children. My children have made me go broke as well, so that's a lot of fun. But okay, tonight's gonna be a fun one here. It's about 5-6 degrees, which is gonna be a little chilly.
Oh, God,
I think, anyways. Let me.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
that's what I saw this morning.
Kids are pretty good about it. Anyways, I can't. My ID won't hit because mine doesn't recognize my face. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Caterpillar, Nat Pass. All right.
Well, actually, it was. I thought to change it to Apple. He mentioned Apple as well. That's all.
Apple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when is Apple? November 2nd, right?
Thursday.
So, yeah, Thursday. So we can have a look at Apple. I mean, I'm trying to stay with what the levels that I thought we would do. And, I mean, I think Caterpillar is a good investment for a long term. I think that's what everybody always says. So it's getting old. But I like the name. So, there's J&J, Deere, Caterpillar, some of the industrials as well. Apple right now fading out. I mean, obviously the market is coming back down a little bit right now. I still think you want to short this name. I mean, it's still, consider this, like Apple is down, yet it's the largest weighting in both the NASDAQ and the ES. So both of these indexes are up. Apple's down right now. If Apple can turn it around, then these markets are really, really going to shoot a lot higher. So I wrote down here that I wanted to look at this name, but stay underneath 171. And unfortunately, there it is right there. There's your 171, baby. Came in and I didn't take it. So, we took AMD at 98. That got exhausted to the upside. This was the trade, man. It was Apple. Should have shorted that. And again, like, if I'm going to learn something, I mean, I learn something every day. And I think that's important when you're trading. Look what AMD's up. So AMD is up 2%. Right, much more likely, as we're short again on AMD, we just took some profit on that, but I decided to hold a little bit more. We're short at 20s, we just got out at 10s. Hopefully, see, it just keeps on resisting this move down. I'm now bidding 01s, and then we'll see if it breaks lower. But anyways, Apple, what I'm gonna get at here is that Apple red into the day, right? So we should have maybe ignored that 98 level. I mean, I'm fine testing it, but not over and over and over again. We should have possibly looked at Apple, but hindsight is 2020 when you see the market doing this. The most important thing for me is Meta right now, because if that breaks lower, then we're really going to be ringing the Reggie right now. It's already at 29.7. Like, we're already $1.50 in the money on this, but I'm thinking lower on Meta, especially if this market cracks. So let's stay focused here. Hopefully AMD will pull back a little bit. We'll get some of that money back right now. But yeah, Caterpillar, I didn't look at that. We got big earnings coming through
this week. Yeah,
there we go. There goes
Still not
AMD.
done.
Yeah, This week's going to be good, man. I mean, there goes, finally, let's spin the damn money. Finally, AMD, with that move down into the 90s now. So now we get pay dirt, baby. That's what it's all about right there. Waiting, being patient, kind of believing in that trade. We believed in it too much, though. Took it too many times. Unfortunately, just kept getting rinsed. There's the big move down. So now it's 30 cents, right? All the other hits were 10, 15 cents, but they all add up. So I'm not really super happy about this. But let's get some downside moves here for AMD. I'm going short if it breaks 97.70.
Yeah, just very quick, we are done the rundown, but I wanted to, someone said real estate names. So the entire group downside, there was, I mean, essentially like price fixing, lawsuit, and Open Doors down, Redfin is down, Zillow is down. The reason I'm in Open is it has only to do with what's going on at $1.90. So look at the consolidation. It cannot seem to break 191, so I just sat on the offer at 90. I did take some out. 87 is the current low that it doesn't want to break, so I'm getting some out at 87 and looking for lower. If you look at the group, it doesn't, like everything else, like the Zillow's bouncing as we speak. You know, RDFN, whoops. Okay, it's always alphabetical, the market, and BL in our system is actually Blue Ocean, which is the overnight dark pool market. So if I hit enter too fast, that's what comes up. But Redfin is also bouncing back into VWAP. While those are recovering, essentially, Open Doors, it's not going up. So if these roll back over, this should be good, and there's an obvious level to get out if it takes out that high. But you're seeing a bit of a bounce back, relief rally, I don't know, whatever you want to call it there. So I just looked at Open, said it's not really going anywhere. It has this level on it. Obviously, if it breaks out here, it's an easy out, and I would probably look at the $2 level. But we had to pay for locates as well. There's something else I wanted to get to. Oh, pins is starting to roll back over from the highs.
There's some pin action on that, or?
Oh, maybe. Oh, I had a good one for your glass, because you said hindsight's 2020. But the question is, what are they in those glasses? There you go. 2010. You got to have that
better vision.
It's the pilot vision. You get that 2010 pilot vision, which is how my family is all about either glaucoma or pilot vision. It's like one or the other. And I'm going to find out in a few years which one I'm going to be. But Pinterest started to roll back, and I have a bid in the 80s. I'm going to have a bid in the 70s. Let's see where we can get to. 30 has held. There was a question, why looking at shorts? I mean, I like resistance levels, and the market's at one too. So I don't know that in this market I ever want to be taking longs when you're getting to levels like this. Like if you like longs, you should be waiting for a dip and then looking to buy the dip. At least that's the way I look at it in this market. So you're at a resistance level at 14.5, so you want to respect it. And if there's something else that if you're looking to buy dips, one of the names out there for you can be Boeing. So Boeing is up 2.5%. It just continues to go and go. Not much of a dip yet. But if you're looking for a dip buy, I mean, there's worse things you could do than Boeing up 2.5%. Strong day for them. GME is starting to level off.
Why did I want that?
Starting to crawl. I have a bid here at 13.55. I want to get some here, and then if it gets to VWAP, looking for the old VWAP retrace. Dan McIsaac, stopping in to see if you're trading JNPR. I'm not trading Juniper. Why would I be trading Juniper? Is there a gag I'm missing for that?
Well, the other day you said that we had never, ever mentioned Juniper ever, and then now we're mentioning it, so that's probably... Well,
in fairness, I think when I said that, you were like, no, we did mention it the other... Like, I think it a couple of times.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned it a couple of times for sure. But people wondering, it's very awesome. It's a very unique situation when your name is something that you're also able to be during Halloween. So I told her we're going to do this, so there you go. There's Cat, as you can see, in Cat. There. Oh, hello this time. So nothing.
What? No, hola.
Oh, meow coming through right there. Okay, so there it is. People wanted to know, so there you go. Cat is a cat.
She is a cat.
Yeah, and she's.
And we haven't seen
back.
We haven't seen Fabian, which shout out to Fabian, our production crew, because he has
go to the green screen. He has a cool backdrop.
He has a great costume. It's a fantastic one. Fabian. But Ramin doesn't even know who he is, which I'm telling you, when you see it, because he's gonna be on camera. We'll figure it out.
That's not even a boomer thing.
You guys are going to get this within seconds. His
but
costume.
imagine we did the green screen. Think about all the cool.
That's what I'm saying. No, it's.
He could literally sit in something, if you know what I'm saying.
He's wearing my favorite costume. Like of all the ones, like it's one of my favorite.
Don't show him. He's almost on the screen.
Not yet.
Fabian, why can't we get you in your costume with a cool green screen something?
Okay,
there. All right, he's on it. So we'll get to that. So it took some out of Pinterest, yada, yada, yada. Market pulling back from highs. I don't know if we get a gigantic flush. Do we need to go back to the desk? We finished the rundown here. Do we need to go back to the desk for anything?
Unless there's a handle some business, I don't know, but they'll let us know in our ear.
Okay, I just noticed it was still up.
Yeah, until then, welcome to Trader TV Live, and make sure, because you just saw Kat do this.
Hola, like and subscribe today.
We should almost get another one of her saying meow. Like,
We should have made some today with the costume.
That's too cheesy.
No, that's a little.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's just after.
because her name's Kat. I don't know.
It's perfect.
I thought that was a pretty unique costume, so we'll go with that for now.
It's perfect.
But yeah, well, we had made a few new ones of those, but he's not here today. But I'm pretty sure it's still under contract.
Subscribe and share the show that takes you into the heart of the market every day.
There we go.
And it
Okay,
does.
Sharif. So we did it for you, Sharif.
He's resting up. I do know he was going to come. He had his. He was going to do his Dallas Cowboys jersey, and he was going to wear the one that the Playmaker got for him, and he's going to put the pads on and everything. So that was the plan, but he's not feeling well. He'll get better. He'll be back. Obi, putting in some work for the full day, using those Jedi powers, hopefully to tame the markets. But the markets are strong today. There's no question about it. We're only up 0.2% on the NASDAQ, though. That's because, as strong as the move was to the upside, it looked just as bad to the downside. As I said, getting a little bit out of Pinterest. This has been a strong name, just like that 30 level. As now we can go to the desk with Brendan.
Rundown, as always, brought to you by Trade Ideas. See what's moving in the moment. Right now, you can take advantage of 25% off until the end of day today. Trader TV 25 gets you 25% off even for this, the test drive. $11 minus 25%. Trader TV 25, guys.
Easily.
Yes, sir. Check it out there.
Not bad bonus. Not bad bonus.
Everyone likes a good deal.
If you
Everyone
invested in Bitcoin, you could get like Trader TV minus 25 because you'd have so much money that you'd want to overpay.
Well, here's a hint for everybody as to what Fabian has going on here. Let's just say if you were his character in the movie, then you could have invested in Bitcoin at the very beginning.
Let's see if anybody knows. Okay, let's just keep it in the chat. Okay, good. We will not ruin it. Let's see if anybody knows. He's pointing to the hat. He likes the hat.
You guys know. I want to see it. There's that delay, so I have to wait a few seconds for everyone to have seen it.
Somebody will know what's going on there.
There. The first guess. Everybody.
The very first guess already got.
First guesses.
Someone said Pikachu. You know what? I thought. No, it's not Pikachu. It's Ash. Ash Ketchum. I thought.
Yeah, not Pikachu. Yeah, Pikachu.
Don't ever say that again. Okay, so he said he also has a Pikachu outfit. So we will. Oh, the Ash
to each their own, man. I'm
yeah,
not
you can
gonna.
dress up as Pikachu. I don't know.
I was saying in the chat to
awarded
Bears versus Bulls. We literally in my house have a tickle trunk, which is like a dress-up trunk, and a legitimate trunk that my daughter used to dress up, and she's got crap in there that I have to wear when we do dress up. So I'm used to this kind of thing, but there is definitely no Pikachu or Ash in that bad boy, and I'm hoping there won't be. I love the Back to the Future. That's one of those movies. If it's on, I'm watching it. I'm tuning in. I'm watching it for sure. It's just one of those.
Hopefully your kid likes Pokemon at some point.
She loves Pokemon. She has Pokemon cards. Her cousin gave her a bunch. Handed them down. I guess extras or doubles that he had. So she loves it. But there's no costumes yet. Tesla's catching a bid here. Not at evens or at O's. It's catching a bid at 201. So this could be, I guess the previous high is looking like the support level, and maybe that's what you got to work for. I was looking for this to be a play. Looking for this to be a play off of 200 on a dip, but now it feels a little bit like that 201 level is going to come into play. So Tesla on the rebound as the ES just bounced off 4,200.
Yeah, big time there. It's too bad because we had an AMD bid at 82 actually, and it went down to 85. So I put it to 86, and we never got it again. Downside, we will look to reload a little bit here on AMD as it's still one of those names there. We did tweet out earlier about our Palantir trade, hoping that you guys got some love in for PLTR. Wait a second, we just got a fill there. A view up, nice, 81s, okay. Palantir, so we talked about shorting this one up near 15 bucks. To me, this is about, honestly, sometimes trading is very, very frustrating, difficult pretty much every single day. For me, it's frustrating and difficult. But, this $15 level, like we talked, remember when Palantir was at 70? And again, if you're joining us now, thank you so much. But, at 9 o'clock, or I think Actually, it was after the market had opened. I was looking at Palantir because we were talking about some of these names running today. Palantir, DraftKings, I think there was a firm, there's a few other names that were running around. And I was just like, no, we have to wait for 15 to come in, right? And so if you're gonna look here on the minute chart, I think we were down into this area. That's what I was saying. I think it was 10 o'clock or so. Well, it made the move up and I actually missed it there the first time, which is fine. I mean, we're honestly, the trades we had on NVIDIA and Meta, but you know, this made it move, comes back in, and then it basically did the trade that I talked about the other day, right? Where you come back in, you retest VWAP, then you get back to the high of the day. So that's why we started shorting it into that high of the day, and then it really just, honestly, after that, it just, you know, it was like 2014 for Bitcoins all over again, all the way down to the downside right there. 24, sorry, I can't even see with these glasses on. 1475. Good thing it's not 24. Well, 24 would be great for the long-term portfolio, but right there, 1475, out. Whole bunch of outs down here because it did the same thing. Then it came back up again, and that did the same thing. This time it cracked below VWAP, so a bunch of outs. So like this name, you know, the stocks today, NVIDIA, Meta, then Palantir. Those are the orders here for stocks. So again, another good one. We're light on the stock. I didn't even realize we got that, Phil. So I'm working on this AMD trade, but we did get that just 5 minutes ago. So again, bidding ahead of VWAP. We're very, very light on Palantir. If you're going to add up see, we did get stopped out right there, I guess. 95 break, that was the high. Then we started shorting again. Look at this short. 15s, boom, like the 15s to 70s. So anyways, what we did was just reshorted it, getting some out at VWAP. So right now we have less than 10% left of this position. AMD came all the way back up. This could be the last of that story right now for AMD as it's, you know, again, shorted it, got it back in. All of these hits are like 10 cents, but they're still adding up. So right there, nice move. That last in and out was like 5 cents. So right now, we'll wait to see if it pulls back. We're short AMD 22s right now. What are we even at? 19s? Come on, guy. Let's get back down into the 15s or so. Take something out. And we've just got on, I know we've got on this fancy gold hat, but we just got on our scalper's hat right now as this market under the 50, not really moving too much. I'm hearing Shopify is getting a little bit of a pop here for something. Let's just see if that is the case. $47, pretty disgusting. 46.70 all the way up there to 47. So Shopify is getting that move. If Shopify ever wants to come up to 49 bucks, I'll be sitting there with the short keys on.
Yeah, Shop when it broke that 50 level. It's been absolutely nasty. I want to shout out to Nick W. Thank you for the super chat. Loving the costumes for both. Happy Halloween. What are thoughts on Meta for a swing? Swing put, you're looking for a short on Meta, I guess, and NVIDIA. Well, NVIDIA hasn't reported yet, but quickly, because I saw you in Steve G, the costume looks a little tight. You're right. It is actually a little bit tight. Is it working out or Timbits? It's a little from column A, and it's a lot from column B. I'll leave it at that. I got to have my treats, man. That's why you hit the gym. That being said, you're asking about like levels on Meta and NVIDIA. I think you start with NVIDIA. My opinion on NVIDIA is that since it broke down, or since it has been making this move to the downside, you have a clear head and shoulders on the daily with a support at 400 level, and I thought we were going down to this 200 period moving average, at least 370. That's been the level. Like I feel like all roads are leading to this. It's 373 since the earnings. That's the actual bottom right in here that it dipped back into. So that's to the 200 period moving average makes a lot of sense on a retracing play. I'd be surprised. I mean, today obviously felt like this was a chance that you were starting to break down underneath 400, and it looks a little bit bullish after holding that level, but it could still put in another lower high. You have a long time till earnings come, relatively speaking, because you have a few weeks to go. It's at the end of the month for NVIDIA. So we have a lot to wait for. I could see it bouncing before you get to those earnings, but it does feel like it's stepping down. That head and shoulders, the lower high, 460, 465 feels like resistance. Meta, on the other hand, is a little bit more, like for Meta, if it cannot reclaim the 50 period and hold above in the next couple of days here, it doesn't look like a great look because you have a double top on this dip, and you know we're past report. You're under the 50. It was great earnings, and it's not really all that strong. If it cannot hold a 50 period, then I also think this is headed down at least minimum to a test of that 280 level. But you have a very clean double top at 330, and right now you could be failing a lower high and the 50 period. So that's something that has to settle itself out. But that 305 level or area on Meta, it's all kinds of resistance. Like, look at the 50 period moving average on the 15-minute chart. Like, it's an absolute wall. So that level is providing some trouble for Meta. As we said, the market's coming back in. I got back into, so I'm just gonna, I'll probably be, until this breaks, I mean, Open Door did exactly the same thing. Came right back up to the 90, could not break that 91, and then right back into 87. So we'll just rinse and repeat that once again. GameStop, I took a little bit out, but it's not really, the good news is it stopped. Like, the volume's really tapered off, so I think you can get down to VWAP, but it's not really flushing just yet. Oh, there was something else I wanted to get to. I can't talk about GameStop without talking about this bad boy. Got out a bit early today on AMC. So was buying dips into the 10 area. Got this is a real wick. So what happened here is, like, it broke the high. It was right after we had finished the morning show, and it breaks the double top, or whatever you want to call it, 11:15. So it takes out this double top, immediately runs about 7 or 8 cents, and then instant rejection of that breakout. So, like, that got me out. The second it broke that high and rejected, I'm like, oh, get out, get out, get out. It's going to come back into VWAP, and then it was a shakeout before the next move up. Sometimes that's what happens. Like, it's a bit of a shakeout, and then it makes the next leg to the upside. I felt at that point, and maybe it's a bias in the market, I don't know. I felt at that point that was kind of a hammer reversal type candle. You got to get out of something. I'm always thinking on small caps, like, if I would short moves like that, I typically want to get out of longs, but AMC is still churning to the upside. Maybe GameStop's actually up today because AMC's up 7%. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But here's $11 on AMC. I said yesterday if it gets to 11, that's where I think the short is. Nothing's really changed. It's just a little bit closer. So 1069 is the current high. If it breaks this high, I think we're one step closer to getting that short. We have free locates on it, so don't have to really do anything. Had to pay for GameStop, which is weird because we didn't have to pay for GameStop a few weeks ago, but I did pay for locates. Here comes Pinterest in again. All kinds of support at 29.50. All roads lead to that being the final stop. So I'm going to get a bit out in front of it last time. I had a trailing stop thinking about VWAP. Now I'm just going to scalp out of it. The stock is going down, but it is not flushing down the toilet. Given the fact that it's up 18%, I'd say it's faring pretty well this afternoon, but that 30 level still hasn't broken.
Like, I cannot believe we were $2 in the money on Meta, and I didn't even notice that this wicked all the way down there, and then it just came, as fast as it wicked down, it just came right back up. So we're going to get out if it takes this 200 period moving average. It's going to suck, but again, we don't have a huge piece left on this trade. We have about, well, I guess it's fine. We have about two-thirds left, out, and then we're waiting. But these were all averaged in. So, you know, it's been a really good trade for Meta. I just want lower, and that would have been fine by me. This 299.30, I mean, that's, maybe I can zoom this out a little bit more here. Like, you guys, again, like I said, man, it's going to be NVIDIA and Meta, the top two names, right? Like, we had this, it's all because of this move. It's a huge move right off the open that we absolutely destroyed. We have a tick down there of 297 right there. So, I mean, hopefully we can get back to the glory days of Meta, but I don't, I mean, I'm long in my own personal account, obviously, but long way.
The boss.
Way different than this.
Well, you said glory days, so.
Oh, glory days. Oh, and what did you say? Oh,
I said the boss.
Bruce Springsteen, yeah, of course. Yeah, so that would be good. That's a great song. Down there. So I just feel like this 299, if you see on the chart here, it's already bounced off there at about 11:30. And then we made, I don't know if this wick is real or not. We don't have any uncontrollable wicks today, so that might be right. Down there to 299.60 again. And then we just flushed. You have to be there to pick those up. You know, if it keeps on going, then you're like, oh man, why did I get out? But at least you got out, you know, because then you stop yourself from having to sort of go through the agony of what's happening right now. And this is not agony. I mean, we're doing fine, trust me. Right there's a couple outs on NVIDIA. We talked about 15s. I think we got 15s and then 12s or something. So we did take advantage of a little bit move down there on NVIDIA on that second reload. So the first one, First of all, we have tons of reloads. I'm just trying to go over what we've been doing recently. There's 98.20, out. Our best outs down there, 93s. That's 30 cents. So that's well worth it. We're going to get out on the top of the day here. So that's a nice move right there. 98.16, still not great, man. I mean, you never want to take a dime. Well, we do want to take a dime, which is what we did, but we took out too many shares. Like we want this thing to fall. But if it's not going down, you cannot get blood from a stone. So let's move on to something else.
Can't you though?
You can try. We had Microsoft earlier. Good short. Rate. I mean, we love Microsoft as a trade. It's just right into there. You know, we were shorting it. You see this level, that was 37. So that was great. So that's a 37 short. That out is 36.40. So we got like 25 cents, then 50 cents, then out on a break higher. And we really haven't been able to find our way back in. But noticing this on a move, so Microsoft not down, but against the market, it's red. And then you also have that top, which was pretty amazing, 338.50, also coincides with this little pre-market low that took right away. So we were unable to get back to pre-market levels. We tried, we failed up there at 338.50. So again, like that's another great shorting opportunity right there for softies. So a couple missed opportunities. What you're going to wait, well, what I'm going to wait for here, we are going to go over to Frank right now. But my big plays are going to be not big, but what I'm waiting for is AMD to come back in. We're waiting for Meta, and then we have Palantir. Okay, here comes AMD back into 50. Okay, AMD's coming down to 14s, 15s now. I'm going to take one more piece out at 14 if we can. Then we'll wait for a bottom pick and see what happens from there. So, all right. Wow, what a fun time. I wonder if Mr. Caberna will be dressed up or not. I say he is.
I cannot
tell. See either.
I can't tell.
If he's anything like Brendo, we'll see. Let's go. Go over to the big desk. Let's go.
He is not.
Oh.
Ouch. Hey, Frank, how are you?
Good. Yeah, sorry, I've underwhelmed with my lack of spirit. I couldn't have matched those two guys.
I mean, they go all in when they go. Yeah. They go all in. So yeah, credit to them. Busy day. Ton to get to here. Let's jump right into it. A lot to come, obviously, tomorrow. Let's maybe put ourselves in the room here today, Frank, when it's a two-day meeting for the Fed. The first day on a meeting, which is definitely not going to be a move as far as the actual interest rate is concerned. I mean, did they just play cards after a certain while, or what is happening at this point? Because it's basically a lock that we're not getting anything tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a great question, and yeah, while I'd love to imagine playing cards or doing anything besides actual work, they are in all likelihood number crunching on the future. It's crazy. I mean, maybe the central bank has always been this way, but it definitely seems like it's been this way the last 5 to 10 years, at least as long as I've been around markets, which is they're very future oriented. By the time a Fed meeting comes up, like tomorrow's at 2 p.m. Eastern, there's really no nuance to what they're going to do, but what they're going to say about the future, that's what they're talking about right now. And how the market is going to price in what they do in December or what they do in 2024, that's what the market's going to move on tomorrow. As you see, 0% chance. Last week, before fear escalated a little bit going into the weekend, there was maybe a 2% chance of a hike. But you move out to that last meeting of the year in December, Brendan, and I was actually kind of surprised by this. Odds have not fluctuated that much. Still a 30% chance of one more rate hike here. And as I went out to, the first meeting of next year, the second meeting of next year, essentially the next handful of meetings, there's around a 30% chance that they hike one more time. But then, as you get out to the end of 2024, people expecting rates lower rather than higher. As you can see, this curve, the distribution for the end of next year is more focused around 4.5%. And there's actually only, less than 20% chance that they are higher than 5%, which they are right now. So what do all these odds mean? Well, one, to your point, they're likely going to do nothing tomorrow, but they're also very unlikely to hike again. And I think at this point, Brendan, if they did tip their hands to one more rate hike, or that they were still open to more rate hikes, you might see significant fallout in the stock market. And you might see that 10-year and 30-year really zoom past 5%, whereas they've kind of been holding on to 5% recently. I don't see that coming out. Now, are they going to come out fully dovish? That hasn't been Powell. He's really liked, like I say, holding on to 5% across the yield curve here in the US, not really indicating higher, not indicating lower, even though the market is airing to the downside in rates by the end of next year. But you know better than anyone that curve for the end of 2024 was focused closer to 3.5% just back in March, April, and May. So that higher for longer rhetoric that we've heard so long, obviously the 10-year and the 30-year have been buying it recently. But even the short-term rates that the Fed does control, while I don't think they're going to hike again, whether they cut down to 4.5% or 4%, I think those odds are actually filling in closer to 5%. So a lot to watch here, but I think the big headline will be whether or not he finally takes off any chance of another hike from the table here.
So if we focus then on not necessarily 2 o'clock tomorrow, but 2:30, all of the questioning, like let's just be honest here, all of the questioning is going to be on not necessarily if, but now when, as we're seeing, this as that, a great bell curve on that, forward look as far as what the market is pricing in is significantly lower than where we are right now. So at some point, that implies we're going to see some cutting. He's been, a stickler, for lack of a better word, on that restrictiveness, or the rate of restrictiveness as far as their rate versus where inflation is. If we see inflation continuing to come down, to maintain that gap, it's inevitable at this point. So it's a matter of how many questions is he going to get on when he's going to cut, and how does he go about answering that at this point?
I think he's probably going to want to steer clear of that line of questioning, or be as murky as he can be about that. Because, similar, I view this, and maybe I'll lose some people here if I haven't already lost everyone, given that I'm not dressed up like the lovely hosts of your program. But I view it a lot the way that I view, the spot market for a commodity like crude oil and the futures market for that same commodity. And as those futures come into expiration, get close to spot, the prices get closest to that spot, and you pretty much know, or you get better clarity on where that market is going to end up, versus, futures for crude oil expiring at the end of 24, the end of 25. Similarly, Powell is focused on clarifying what's going to happen in the next couple of months and leaving himself open to anything happening in the next year or 2 years. And you'll remember that the dot plot, while it did trend lower, closer to 4% from where they are right now, 5.25%, a lot of central bankers thought that they would be cutting in 2024. A few of them thought that they would actually keep those rates high throughout 24. So I think he'll probably keep that nuanced. All of that being said, like I say, if he takes that 30% and squashes it, says, we're not looking at another rate hike. Of course, things can change, but we feel like we've sufficiently hiked. Then you might see those odds of 4.5% by the end of 2024 drop down to 4.25%, 4%, and start to price in more cuts. And so, I don't think that he'll speak towards cutting in 24 or in 25, or when will that be? But he will tip his hand, and the market will digest. Are you thinking about any more hikes at all? And if he says no, that will come through as, okay, he might be cutting sooner rather than later. But if he keeps that on the table like he has, remember, he has not taken rate hikes off the table, whereas central bankers abroad have, for the most part, done exactly that. Then you might see that 4.5% 2024 estimation might get closer to 5%, and you might see that 10-year and 30-year finally eclipse 5% significantly. And recently, that's meant bad news for stocks.
Yeah, and on that, let's then look at what has kind of caught up, as we've been indicating here. Yields essentially playing catch up a little bit to what was happening. When all of this began, the market just wouldn't buy into what they were trying to sell. We've seen that since change. How much of what we're going to hear from Fed Chair Powell, I guess, tomorrow afternoon has to do with the fact that we're finally seeing this higher for longer as far as the yields are concerned?
Well, that's why I think that he might come out a little bit more dovish than he has in the past, because I think it's been from the last meeting until now, you have that 10-year finally getting to 5%, not thinking about 5%, but hanging out right there at 5% for the first time in 15 years. And so, again, I think that he might really take that rate hike off the table, because what he might want to do here is relax that 10-year a little bit and maybe move it off of that 5%, because you've started to see, the real estate industry and the automotive industry, so many different sectors get affected by this 10-year taking another level up to that 5%. All of that being said, though, Brendan, if he takes rate hikes off the table and talks dovishly about the Fed funds rate and what the Fed intends to do, that 10-year can do whatever it wants. To your point, he was hiking to 3, 4, 5%, and that 10-year was glued between 3 and 4% that whole time. In that same fashion, he can come out dovish, say we're not hiking anymore, and that 10-year might have a knee-jerk reaction of losing 5, 10 basis points, and then it can move in the other direction. We just saw the Bank of Japan come out and the exact opposite happen, where they came out with hawkish rhetoric. Their 10-year now, they're allowing to get to and exceed 100 basis points for the first time in years, because they've been so glued to 0% interest rates. The yen saw a little bit of a bid, and then it gave back ground to new 30-year lows for yen, high for dollars. So just a little bit of a precursor here with this yen story, that the central bank can come out and commit its action to overnight funding rates, but how it ends up influencing currencies and interest rates and the stock market can be very different than what they want. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Powell wants to do. He's been so good at towing the line between not, being too hawkish, not being too contractionary with his policy, but also what they've been having trouble with in Japan and the Euro area and China as well, is they've almost been kind of too dovish, where it's like, man, this economy doesn't seem like it's actually headed in the right direction. He's been so good at towing that line. He'll probably try to do that again tomorrow. But what I'll really be watching for is to see if he gives any kind of inclination that we're done with hiking. And if so, you might see those interest rates move lower, at least in the short term. Stocks catch a little bit of a bid. But again, what happens after the dust settles of that interest rate action, where they're not expected to do anything, the press conference where maybe he comes out a little bit dovish than he has in the past, when that dust settles an hour or two later, and especially by Thursday, that's all up to market participants. So it'll be really interesting to see. And then, of course, we have non-farm on Friday. And so really interesting couple of days coming up.
Yeah, I mean, as far as inflation is concerned, they're not there yet, right? And how much are we going to hear about the fact that they're not there yet? And when I say there, obviously I'm referring to their own target, and we're still quite a ways off of that 2%. And because of that, is this still a game of we're going to be data? All we've heard is we're going to be data dependent, we're going to be data dependent. And, he just continues, as you said, to quote unquote toe the line as we head to that non-farm payrolls. I mean, even last week, you and I were discussing the PCE number that was still essentially unchanged. So whatever it is they've done to this point is still not denting some of these very critical data points that they will need to see move down.
And I think to that point, if he comes out and keeps those, we're going to be data dependent, where we are keeping hikes on the table. If he keeps that rhetoric going, then I think you see the rest of the yield curve continue to adjust higher, because that's him kind of being, whatever you want to call it, passively hawkish, hawkish without necessarily rate hiking. And yeah, he's been great at doing it the last several meetings. They haven't hiked in so long, but they have been able to continue to move inflation in the right direction. But yeah, at some point, the market does see through the fact that he wants, rates at 5%, inflation to move lower, and the stock market and everybody else not to be freaked out by it. But I think if he keeps that rhetoric going in November and in December, that 10-year and 30-year will eclipse that 5%. And unfortunately, I didn't throw the graphic up for you all. I'll bring it on Thursday, but I was just looking. Every big number, 2%, 3%, 4% in the 10-year coincided with the S&P 500 falling to new lows over the course of the last year or so journey for interest rates from 0% to 5%. And I think if they eclipse 5% on, like I say, this passively hawkish rhetoric from Powell, that could be significant, even though, like I say, he doesn't hike. At this point, he doesn't control treasury yields whatsoever. And so even if he doesn't hike, if he leaves hikes on the table, they're still worried about inflation numbers not going the right way. And if non-farm comes in strong on Friday, we might have a new interest rate environment by next week.
Yeah, fascinating times. More to come, as you mentioned. We'll tee it up on Thursday when we speak next. Frank Caberna is Director of Strategy over at IG.com. Appreciate it, as always.
Thanks, Brennan.
Thank you as always, Frank. And a couple of things. Frank, you don't have to dress up. You didn't lose anybody because everyone loves to hear you. You are our sort of macro superhero. So you come every Tuesday and Thursday as that. Don't apologize. I think everyone loves hearing it. I saw some great support in the chat up there. But hey, maybe next year if you want to. We do it every single year. That's how we throw down. We don't do anything else. But we're back to Frank rallies the markets. So I think there was a short hiatus, and we're right back into it. 245. Sometimes you can just hit the buy key. The NASDAQ just hit the high, just hit 14.5. ES as well touched the highs. Let's go to Brendo.
Watch crypto here, guys. Just seeing a note from quote-unquote sources within the SEC saying they've been notified that spot Bitcoin ETF approval is all but certain and only requires final sign-off, essentially, from President Biden and Treasury Secretary Yellen. So watch crypto-related stuff.
Oh, you are? Well, I don't remember where you were in Mara this morning. But as we're talking about crypto, Mara is attempting to break out. Look at $9 on Mara here. This is actually $8.95. But stair step up, kind of took out the bottom and then higher lows all the way through. Trying to take out the absolute top here through 9. Coinbase is breaking out. Oh, wow. Yeah, Coin just got through the last resistance, 76.65. If it can hold on to that, Coinbase... Ooh, that's a pretty big pullback. But yeah, if you can hold on to this area here, that's a good little level for a coin. I am reloaded into GameStop right off that high, double top at 13.8. If it gets back in the 60s, we'll be happy to take that out. And then Open, I mean, it is what it is. Like it's just 190, and it looks like it's holding this 197. So if that's going to be the trade, then that's the trade. And I'm getting out if it breaks 91. So I've been taking 90 and 90 halves. The only prices I'm getting, and if it breaks 91, I get out. Looks like 87 is the current bottom. I have bids underneath it if it wants to go further. Pinterest, despite the market breaking the highs, is still holding underneath 30, so I think we're pretty good to go there. But this market is looking pretty strong. The crypto names, they bear watching here as Coinbase continues to go up. That 76.65 was a good level. And the $9 on Mara looks pretty good too.
Palantir broke. Like Palantir's now, like, you know, the short was cool when the market was downside, right? And so right now we'll hold out hope here that the market wants to just cool off a little bit and start continuing to go back up to the upside. We are in a, so we shorted NVIDIA against 408, didn't work because it took it, but it didn't go too much higher than that. So we shorted again at 408. The high of the day is well, we have 412, but that's not right. Okay, so right there, 408.30s. So again, we tried it. We tried it there at 50, then we tried it at 85. Really tight stop of breaking the top, right? And so now we're back into this short. Let's just see. It's traveled a lot today, NVIDIA. NVIDIA is my #1 stock, and I mean, we hit it pretty good through 400, man. We have a tick down there of 393. Like, this name is up $14 from that bottom, but what goes up maybe potentially could come screaming back down, as we're now in the money 50 cents on it. And again, that's kind of the stuff that we're talking about, right? Is like believing in your trade, but sometimes you get stopped out and you have to get the heck out of the way, which we did do that on AMD as well as Frank was coming through. We got stopped out there before it started to rip back up. So AMD upside really hasn't given us that much. I'm going to kind of like forget about the stock for now and then see what happens after that. But there goes NVIDIA right back into the dollar club now on that re-short for NVDA. But all right, so we did not take any crypto there at all on Bitcoin for GBTC, but there's that move up. And honestly, if that's the story, Brendan brought it to us. It's just that it's not, it rallied it a little bit. I would have thought that this really could have got going. So we'll wait, we'll stay on it. We'll be here. Hopefully it can rally upside a little bit more, but right now stopping sort of at the day's high there for GBTC. So we will have another look at that at some point. So that's all.
Mara
good.
got right to $8.99.
Yeah, Mara was a good one there. Meta's still hovering around doing nothing. We're $1.40 in the money. Like, this name is honestly, I don't know the last time we've seen this. Meta in a like 30-cent range for 1.5 hours right now.
Look at Tesla.
We're going to have to wait to see if there's some sort of a go on this one. I'm hoping it's obviously to the downside. Oh, man, Eli Lilly today takes a bath. It's a good thing we got out of something at the top there, man. Eli Lilly down 2% today, down to 550 on earnings. That's a downside play for sure, as Eli Lilly, again, you know, huge move up to 615. Like I said, we were over 140% in the money. I didn't even realize it. Like, you know, like I said, I only had 10 shares and we got out of 1 up there. So now we should be getting out of some more possibly as we take below the 50-period moving average. But the one name that we had looked at on Pfizer, I thought maybe we could get down to that $28 range or so, which was going back to the COVID lows. As you guys remember, we were there earlier today, a little bit anyways, right off the open. We got, and then that's the lowest it got, was down there to $29.75. Beautiful bump back, a retest, and then now you're starting to go upside. So I feel like the market likes this Pfizer a little bit here today, even though it's still down. Nice recovery for Pfizer off $30. So I think this could be tomorrow's trade today. We could make this trade tomorrow. I mean, if it comes to 30, great, but I think like that's not a bad level. All of this is earnings, right? I mean, we had earnings today. So like everything down here is people kind of shorting below 30, waiting to see what happens. And then now all of a sudden, see what happened? Tried to get back down below, couldn't. So all of these traders down here, either shorts or they're trap short, and then you get this nice move up. So we'll see if this wants to give it to us tomorrow, but down there at $30, looking pretty good for Pfizer. We'll see about that tomorrow. So it looks like, just quick before we get out of this trade, I almost got stopped out. So a breakthrough 50 here, and we're going to get out. We're going to take the dollar on this. We're getting greedy. Like, we're waiting for this tick because I didn't notice it, so now I'm kind of peed off. So we're going to wait to see if we can get that. Always we are waiting for a flush, but the flush came and stopped. So $299.50, if that wants to come through, great. Otherwise, we'll get out at $300.50. So we're already $1 in the money. We're going to give this a little bit of love. And other than that, man, NVIDIA is just hovering around that 408. And then Apple is getting close to our 171. Again, I was like, it wasn't at the high of the day. Yeah, I went to 170.75. I'm waiting at 85. Like, I'm trying to get some shares.
No hockey players were 85.
No, football players, of course.
Well, I mean, 80, yeah, I mean.
David Njoku, but.
You know what's weird? T. Higgins used to wear 85, and how he wears 5?
Right now?
5, and it's been bad luck for him stick into the 80s, some of these wide receivers. I want to shout something out in the chat here, just because we have a fantastic trading community. You guys, anybody that's been here knows that. It's absolutely the best. But a lot of what's going on in the chat, where is it? We are trying to educate traders here. I love it. Yes, let's learn, Jonathan Berry. Learn or burn is my favorite response to that. Learn or burn is a great quote. But again, everybody is here. That's why we have Frank on. That's why we have traders of different styles. That's why we trade different types of names. That's why we go through the thought process of the levels we're looking at. Oh, Bonkzillo, yes, Ocho Cinco 85. I mean,
oh, there's lots.
Yeah, I mean, the 85 is a popular number. I don't know. Like the first person to come to mind was T. Higgins, because I have him in my league. He's been killing me in one of my leagues. So that's the first guy that came to mind. I'm like, change your number back so I can do better in fantasy in that other league. But speaking of ideas and sort of levels, like I've been in a couple of times with relatively tight stops on Micron. Some success early, but then then stop out here when I tried that high. And then it's now pressing to 67. Now the last couple of times it was up here, pre-market levels. I get it, but right at the open. I mean, pre-market levels, then at the open, failure above 67. 3 sessions ago, yesterday at the open, failure at 67. So as it gets in here, we're at 14.5 in the NASDAQ. You're having some trouble punching through. 50 minutes left in the overall market. I'm looking for the fade up here, but given the way this is traded, it needs to at least break 67 again and start running stops above for me to want to get into that short. So I'm still in the still in GameStop to the short side. As you were mentioning that Meta wasn't moving much. I mean, Tesla, since breaking 201, it goes up to 202 half, pulls back to 201, and then spends a half an hour mostly just going sideways. This is just generally do not like trading things that are doing that. Like if you're in a position, then you're holding something that's in a consolidation, like that's fine. But if you're trying to execute trades inside of this range, you almost want it to break away from it, fail that break, and then get a top or something. I mean, just almost nothing to be seen there. Mike in the chat, let's make this chat an army of members all working together for a greater cause and success for all of us. That is what it should be all about. That's exactly what it should be all about. Everyone trying to get better. Oh, yeah, I meant to get to Tupperware. Tupperware... Okay, it's already pulled back. Tupperware was making moves. I'm just going to assume it's like some kind of weird sympathy play, some other things that we're squeezing, because I didn't see anything specific on it. Still up 20%, but it's pulled back in. Maybe a little VWAP bounce play could be on the cards. I was actually thinking, anyway, it doesn't really matter. Already pulled back. I was actually thinking at 250 short, just looking at the daily chart on Tupperware, but it's obviously not going to get to 250 at this point. So maybe something around VWAP for a dip if it can consolidate. Still have 45 minutes to go, so there is some time to get there. Super SPAC Man, have I ever traded ORC? No, I have not. A penny under the day high. Not that great volume on this one. I've never traded the name. And again, we like volume for day trading, and sometimes I feel as if you get these nice bounce like swing plays, which is I'm assuming what you're getting at here. Makes a bottom at 6. Not really doing a lot of volume. I guess if there's a catalyst here, it's making a bit of a turn. Like it's that same setup. If it was on Neo, I'd be looking to join trend to the upside, but that's Neo. We trade Neo when it moves. This one I don't know. Okay, looks like GameStop might try to take out this high on me. We are pennies away from GameStop. I did get back in. I got back in right at 72s. Looks like it's trying to take out this top. Very, very close. Might have to give it up. There's some squeeze names running today along with the overall market. Brendo?
I mentioned this Elon Rogan thing earlier. It looks like what they've done is they've released the first 2 hours of the podcast actually on X. And then they're saying that the rest of it and the full episode going to be on Spotify in a couple of hours. So it wasn't actually released entirely on Spotify initially, but the first 2 hours on X exclusively.
I mean, yeah, of course.
I mean, this guy is...
He knows how to market without having to market because, I mean, well, I guess Tesla, he actually has said that Tesla is going to do marketing, obviously.
I think they are now, yeah.
Yeah, now.
They never had done it in the past.
Because with Elon, they never had to. Like, he knows how to stay relevant, and then just his presence and charisma and whatever he does to get controversy. You can say whatever you want about it. It doesn't really matter what you think of it. It's free advertising, and that just makes it smart because they never had to spend a dime, and still people are always talking about Tesla. So good on him. AMC is at the high of the day. Look at AMC just rejecting the high over and over again here. 1050 to 1065.
I like that.
Back and forth and back and forth. If it's going to continue pressing, I think there's room to go to $11. If it gets down in here, I think I try this at 1050. If it gets down to 1050 again, it has to get there. I keep thinking Apple's going to get to 171, and it just doesn't seem to want to go there. We're gliding slightly higher. I'll get rid of this wick in a second. Gliding slightly higher, but it's getting pretty close to get to that 171 level. But that's the one I want to look at. Open at some point. Maybe this just doesn't move and it is just this little scalp trade in here. But I look at what happened for the other names. And if you're going to, like, it's ridiculous. You're already back over VWAP on RDFN. Zillow actually got to VWAP and pulled back. So all of them pulled right back in. If Open's not going to go anywhere to the upside, then there's just no buyers to get it out of this range. It should fall again on the bad news. But it's still going sideways, so we're still going to sit in this one. I had bids lower, but at this point, I'm not bidding again until it breaks this consolidation down.
Yeah, okay, so just a couple of things here. We are short Apple, but, one that's going to move a little bit more rapido right now is going to be NVDA. So we're short again right now. 50 cents in the money. We're starting to take it this time instead of like not. So right there, we just took it now at 407.80. We took some at 408, which was kind of stupid because that was a really, really small take. But here we go. Let's see if it can come back in. I mean, it's been super strong all day. Like I said, 408, pretty decent level there. I got to put, so I was on a 5-minute chart. So I have like another 5-minute chart up there that I like to look at as well. I think I'm going to change this over to 5 so I can have a 1. But then I like to look at the 20 to show you guys. Anyways, okay. So we'll discuss that after. But right now, here comes NVIDIA to the downside. Yeah, like this would be kind of cool, 406.50. So let's put a bid there. You never know if you're going to get it until it do. So we'll put a bid at 406.50, see if NVIDIA wants to fall down. I think this is well worth the risk to reward, man. My out on this trade is 50. It's 408.50. So that's 25 cents worth of risk. We're already 2-to-1 at 50, which is why we took it out. Now you're starting to fall back even more, which hopefully, knock on wood, will give us the return that we need on this trade. And then falling back in right now, let's just take a piece out at 67. I was waiting for 65 to get that dime here, but now it looks like, oh, Apple, come on, dude. It just went down to 65, didn't fill us, went to 67, and then there's the fill right now on 67. So we'll just go, we'll just do a little bit of this because that's what we're kind of doing right now is taking fills, trying to stack up some trades because honestly, like whether or not this market goes up or down right now, we got to clear out. It's 317. We have to be flat at the end of every single day. Coming through tonight, you're going to have some decent names, including AMD. I was just making the list right now. Shopify is tomorrow. We've had Eli Lilly. You're really choppy in my ear, so I don't know if that was a throw or not. Neil, I don't think heard it either. But test, I heard that right now. So we're... Oh, First Solar as well. Well, what I was going to pull down, thank you, Ramin, for that, was this. I was just going to pull this down here. We do have the board. If you guys have the board, we can show that as well. But I like to look at Market Chameleon, and it just gives you a little bit of a list here on what's happening. You can sort it before market. I like to sort it by market cap. So we already had Eli Lilly earlier today come through. We had Pfizer. This says before market open, right? Tonight, AMC, Amgen. A lot of traders interested in Amgen. We're going to wait to see what's happening right there. Caterpillar, and without any further ado, we're almost $1 in the money on that NVIDIA short, but what's up, Brendo?
Neil, you were just asking about this. Back to highs, it looks like, for U.S. Steel. This is Reuters citing a quote-unquote letter. Apparently the auto industry not happy with CLF buying X.
Okay. So, I mean, there was a weird volume spike on U.S. Steel, and I was curious about it because that was this, and then it just went right back up to barcoding off the high. And I wasn't sure so I was looking at this, like, look at the top on U.S. Steel. Like, I mean, if you're looking to scalp trade, and if there was anything possibly negative, then shorting a high like that with like a 3 or 4 cent stop in case it comes to VWAP would have made sense. But if there is, I don't know if that's going to be enough to move the needle, but I will show you GameStop here. It took out that high. There goes 13.8. So when we initially shorted the first pullback, we got 1-to-1 and took some out, reloaded it, and then when it goes essentially 1-to-1 against us, about 10 cents. We get out 9 cents actually, but it doesn't really matter. It took out that high, up 8.5%. This is up more than AMC, which I mean, it is what it is. If we get to 1430, I probably think that's a short. I'm not chasing longs on this thing. But what is starting to come back to the upside is pins, that $30 level. I mean, go to the 3-minute chart so you can see better when I zoom in.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Looking for that 290, I'm looking for 295 here. But once it breaks 9, I'm looking to reload the short on Pinterest up in front of that 30 level. As 30's been the wall on this stock, at least for now. I know where I'm getting out on this thing, and that's the first step to any trade. Like, what does wrong mean? Wrong means this thing breaking out. The crypto names, which, I mean, we're going on the headline from Brendan. Still looking, I mean, coin's still looking pretty strong. It's now holding that 76.6. Mara, unfortunately, I kind of felt like, yeah, I thought this was going to make a run at the $9 for a break. It's now $3.20. And maybe the 9 break's just not happening today. But it looked for all the world on that headline. You had a triple top at 895. I was thinking 9 break here on Mara, but it doesn't look like that's going to be in the cards. Coinbase, at least Coinbase is giving you some movement up at this top. Mara needs to take out 9. I'm not going long 895 into $9 if it can't even get close. I'd much rather take a shot at coin if I had to. But hopefully I can get some Pinterest at that 90. Reload the last short that'll move with the market, because I don't think at this point Open really cares what's going on. It's just sitting in its own 4-cent range.
Oh, boo. Boo earns right there. But Apple's going, but we did get stopped out of NVIDIA right there. But hey, man, you know what? Don't cry for me, Argentina. Because there we go, man. Nice move down there for Apple. Of course, we are short at 74s. We trying to get that bid at 62, but we did get stopped out of NVIDIA as NVIDIA went all the way to the upside right there and took some names as well. So we'll have to wait to see. I mean, it's not really. It's now all the way back down. And of course, we're going to get stopped out pretty much. Well, actually not at the high. It does go up there to 40880 right there on that upside move. So, okay, we don't need to get back into it. It's too bad that we're not still into it, but that's all good. There's Apple again. Boom, nice move to the downside right there. Like, I wish it was, like I said, I wish it was a little bit more juicy than where we are right now. I mean, if this does pull into the 50s, then I think we can start to get something. What is that, the 200 period? That's 46, yeah. So let's just put a bid, let's put a bid low 50s, see if that comes through right there. But there's another one, another good short for us on Apple. We'll put another, hopefully, another green name onto the roster here today. As once again, man, we talk about this all the time. We have one red name here today, and that's going to be AMD. That's it. Apple up, Mara up. Well, Mara, who cares? Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and then, of course, the biggest and the baddest for me, Mr. Palantir in the building as well. So that's going to be a good one there. Palantir tries to get to 15 again, stops. That could have been a short. We don't want it. We're going to wait. It's already 322 as here comes NVIDIA screaming right back up to the upside again. So I feel like we can leave that one alone. Meta, again, good out for us, happy with it. We take $1. I mean, $1 is a banger of a trade for sure, but would like to obviously have gotten a little bit more on that trade. It didn't come through. We missed that. It was $2 right there. What are we going to do? It goes all the way to 301 basically and falls out. So that would be something to look at. I'm pretty confident just holding these shorts into what I think is not going to be. Well, again, I don't know, but I just look at some of these reports. AMD is actually trading well today, so maybe someone knows something, and this is going to be a little bit better than people think. But
I mean, Intel went 10%.
Oh, yeah. But Intel is, I mean, they're both beat up at this point, so I don't know where it's going to go. And there's not going to be a short interest on this. I'm just looking at that $100 mark. That's the 200 period moving average. And make sure you do join me. I'm going to take questions and answers today. Well, I'm gonna take questions and hopefully give you answers. Q&A tonight on the market recap show. So join me there. We're gonna have Amazon. We'll talk about Amazon. We'll have AMD on board there tonight, and then a big name that's coming that we mentioned, that Ramin mentioned to me, of course, is First Solar. We've seen some very, very interesting plays in Enphase, Solar Edge, and First Solar, all making moves to the downside. First Solar has been the healthiest of the bunch, but today we are going to see, are they down a little too far on competition guidance and competition reports? We'll wait to find out tonight, and you'll do that with me at 4 o'clock. So get ready to rock and roll, as there is Oh, man, like I keep saying this, man. We talked about this, right? Reading the board properly. Look at all of these stocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 stocks, 7-1 today. Pretty good trading. It doesn't look like we'll go flat on Apple. We'll be red on Apple. I don't know. I was still waiting for a 171 close to get more shares. But right now, there's Apple with a nice little 20-cent pullback here as the day goes. So far, so good here. Let's just keep the train rolling, baby. I mean, we're feeling pretty good. We've got the gold on. Wish it was real gold. These fake gold beads on, and a lot of fun. And
Well, first of all, it actually wouldn't make sense to be real gold dressed up as Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like, you got to stick in your lane.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, well, I'm not investing in gold. I'd be melting that down. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Melt
gold
that
bars.
Oh no, okay. So I was gonna show off TLT pulling back, but I even have a bad wick on TLT. That's the first time I've actually seen this. So I have a bad wick here, but TLT pulling back into the lows. It's at 84. It's hard to tell here, but it just broke the morning bottom by about 10 cents or so. I know it's kind of tough to see, but like that wick screwing things up. And if I try to get rid of it, it's probably just going to come. No, it'll probably come back, but you can get rid of it. You can just get rid of the data editor. But you're making lows as the market's trying to pull back in here. I did reload Pinterest, so we're back into that one. Unfortunately for me, Apple never got the fill. Again, I want 171, not wrong till 171. It just could not get to the actual high of the day, but pins could. So as long as we're going to play that one off the high. Well, the other name I wanted to get to was Micron, if I can get to the 15-minute here. So remember Micron, this cannot press. Like the market made another top, and Micron made another lower high off 67. So it's not really pressing into that high. I'm going to take a shot in here. I like this consolidation. As you've been making runs into the high of the day, you're kind of slightly going into lower highs. I'm going to take this into the 80s. I know I'm wrong at 67 here, so I like the R&R. We have 4 minutes to go. We'll check that. Under 3 minutes to go to the early look. Remember, keep in mind at least, it is the end of the month. So at the end of the month, I would expect you're going to see a few bigger imbalances. That's just typical for the last day of the month. So the imbalances when we give them to you. The overall number might still be nothing, but some individual names, when we look at them, are likely to be bigger numbers than normal. And I think you take most of that in stride, unless it's something ridiculous. Like, if you see Apple at $1 million today, that's not as big a deal at the end of the month. Certainly on a regular day, that could be okay. But you're looking for much bigger numbers toward the end of the month when we get those imbalances coming through. So I'm into Micron. I like it off that 67. Do not want to be buying anything off of these tops. Probably going to get away from AMC. I like the dip in the 1050, but it's probably too late to put that on. If it dips to that price, it's happening with 10, 15 minutes to go in the day. And if it's falling at that point, I don't want to get involved in it. I might take another shot at GameStop because I think profit takers are coming into this stock. And if it's going to be 14, it looks like 14. Maybe you get there. We already took one shot at it. I don't think this is going to continue to hold the high of the day. 8% up for absolutely no reason on GameStop. I think there should be profit taking usually in a situation like this.
All right. I got to stop and pick something up for my kid for hockey. All right, so that's all good. It looks like
tonight. No.
No, tonight's Halloween.
Yeah.
We had hockey last night up in Scarborough. Oh, what a shit show. Trying to drive up there is crazy. Just real quickly here. It looks like, I don't know when the NFL stops, but Chase Young to the Niners. So that defense.
Are you kidding me?
Getting much better. So that is, and for a third-round pick, former first overall.
They already traded Montez Sweat,
Young,
too.
So, yeah.
To the Bears.
Well, Washington is...
what are the Bears doing?
Washington is selling right now.
Why are the Bears buying any players?
No, not the Bears.
No, that's where Montez Sweat went to the Bears.
Yeah. Right. Well, the Bears have next year, right? They got to get rid. They will get rid of Fields.
Do they though?
They will. I think Caleb Williams stays at USC. So
I don't think he does.
I think he does, but Marvin Harrison, I think that'll be great there as a. But anyways,
they're both generational talents.
If you want either one of those guys, you don't want them going anywhere near Chicago. So that would be by far first thing. Thanks, Ramin, for that. We just did retweet it out. You guys can join me, of course, right here as Traders Stay Late. We just tweeted that out. We're going to be doing some Q&As right now. Grab your candy and tacos. Tacos.
Who eats tacos? Oh, it is Tuesday.
Oh, Taco Tuesday. Okay.
I go for some tacos.
I see that right there, Taco Tuesday. Okay, I'm down for that. All right, so grab your tacos and your candy and join us. We are live at 4 o'clock. We'll be doing a little bit of a Q&A coming up right here pretty soon right now. So get ready to rock and roll with that one. FSLR, AMD earnings on tap for that. So thank you so much for everybody that does come in and join it. And all the comments about that show, man. It really is special to be able to host the show and do it with everybody. Again, as we do that, yeah, you could just have tacos and candy. Yeah, Matt, you can have whatever you want.
You still have to eat dinner on Halloween. Got to eat something.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know what we're doing.
Normally, my wife, shout out Marissa, she makes like either like a ghoulish soup or something kind of funky like that. One year we had like these crazy kind of looking meatballs where they have like the eyes coming out, things like that.
I like that.
Just little fun stuff for the kids. But again, my kids being, well, one is 21. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He came over.
Causing a ruckus is what he should be doing.
He's in Waterloo. That's what I'm saying. He came over for dinner last weekend, and he's like, "Oh, I got to go back to school because it's Halloween weekend." So he's going to be.
I know you remember Halloween at university. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, come on.
There'll be lots of parties, regardless of midweek. I don't think that's going to matter.
Ain't nobody going to class tomorrow in university. Let's be real for a second.
Going to class tomorrow.
I mean, except for me. I mean,
Nokia takes
I very clearly was
Amazon
always going to class
court.
in those situations.
Okay, hold on.
What else is going on here?
Nothing really happening with Amazon. Nokia takes Amazon to court about something, but that doesn't seem to.
I mean, Nokia's.
Amazon's like, who the hell is Nokia? And then they're not worried about that. So we'll pass on that. Okay, so yeah.
Wow,
other than that, other than me being. I mean, I'm upset, but not that upset. NVIDIA is, like I said, the #1 trade for me this month, period, was this trade, and then followed by the Meta trade. That both happened at 9:35. And they were both these huge moves down. So, like, this was the #1 trade for me all month. P&L-wise was right there, that break. But I'm a little bit upset now because we were short at 408.50, which would be another $1. But that's okay because now it's trying to drop back in. The futures are dropping back in. Sometimes it's that patient game. Brennan just gave us $630 million to sell. So what is that, you may say? That is this. This is the imbalance locator coming through with the market on closed order types. And right now, so this is just from the broker. That's what this means. So there's a broker. He or she will remain nameless for posting all of this. If you are part of the Day Trade the World community, you too will get this information. And then it's just, they're on the floor, they're adding up all the buy and all the sell orders only on your, shout out to ICE as well, who was here last week, took us out, NYSE. So there's nothing on the NASDAQ unless there's something from this morning, and then the time's right down there. So you're gonna see a bunch of sells right there. Brennan saying roughly the estimate there is, what did I say? 630 to sell. So we'll wait, we'll be patient to see if that can kick. And then at 350 is when they all become public. And then that's when you'll get a little wild ride in the market. So we are out of 60% of Apple. Just real quick, I want to talk about that. I don't know, I'm just going to put another bid here, get a 61 out. See if we can get another fill here. Hopefully, there it is. We just got it. So nice fill there at 61. Hopefully that'll come through. I think we got an ARCA fill. So that's a nice one. Obviously wishing for lower. Seems like we're bouncing off the 50 period, and the 50 period is now here at 57. So right now. So we'll take a 60 fill, 61, not that good. Hopefully it does drop down. I want to make sure I don't have any more bids. I do not. So if this does fall down, we won't just get taken out like that. Hopefully we'll be able to allow this name to fall down. Palantir off of 15, blah. We didn't re-short it, so this has kind of just been a sleepy trade for us all day. And then honestly, First Solar, let me just check.
Tesla just dropped.
Tesla just dropped like a rock?
I mean, not like a rock. I mean, as much as anything is moving right now, I think is the best way to put it.
Because not much of a
no, it's all relative, right? Like the futures didn't do much. This is the biggest candle Tesla has had this afternoon. I guess there's one to the upside that was like $1. So, but that's a pretty decent drop there in Tesla. 202 now looking like resistance. I'm going to stick with these three. If I put something else on, I felt like it was going to be GameStop if I was going to get into something else off these highs. I was looking for it to press one more time into 14, which is not happening. So it might just be right here off the 13.9 high. If that's all it's going to be. I asked in the chat, I asked to Brennan, there was a question, why is RTX stronger? Why is RTX stronger than Boeing today? I didn't see anything specific for them, but I mean, Boeing's having a good day. Again, blue ocean, wait for it to finish loading. Boeing's having a strong day, but this is obviously a little bit stronger. What I would guess is just a little bit more of a gap to be filled. So, like, it's had a couple of extreme days in the last couple of months, and so when it starts filling in the gap, there's just a little bit more air for this one to get up. But, you know, kind of alert to the last gap that it filled. So 83, it looks like 83, 84 could be some trouble for that name. B. Reed, you know it. Where is my super suit? I have this thing now where I'm now committed to this. I'm pot committed to doing this. I am only dressing up as characters that Samuel L. Jackson played. That's it. Because I feel like I could do that, and I would have characters until like the day that I die.
Did he play Frozone? I don't even.
Yeah, he's the voice of Frozone. Obviously, last year, I mean, you guys saw it. We did Jules and Vincent. Well, I don't even remember what we did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think I did a Star Trek thing, but I'm just gonna stick with it. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson. There's a lot of gems we can go with.
We did that 2 years ago. I'm pretty sure we were a hot dog. I don't know what you were. I'm trying to
No, it was 3 years ago with Star Wars. It was Star Wars. No, Star Trek. I think I did 3 years ago. Yeah, it was probably that. Either way, I'm sticking Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. I think it was a Star Trek.
Yeah, it was
Not
Star
Star
Trek.
Wars.
It was Star Trek.
Yeah, one of those random characters there. Okay, Nick Fury. Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
That's too easy, but I could do that.
Yeah. Okay, what else to talk about quickly? I mean, honestly, you know, we're almost out of Apple. I don't even know if we want to get into anything else at this point, to be completely honest with everybody out there. We're just a couple fills away from being flat, and then we will be slightly under our high of the day for what we've been doing, and that's because we did take these last couple shots here on, well, actually, NVIDIA, I guess it was just because of that last trade. We got in and out there and lost, so that's why we do have a slight LFT, which means loss from the top. I'm going to go short one more time here against 409. That's it. This is going to be like a 25-cent stop. If we can get this high right there on NVIDIA, and the only reason I like this trade is because I don't know if anything else is going to be moving here into the close, to be honest with you. We talked about Tesla, but I'm just looking at this. Like, this name was just down here at 407.50, so I know I can get some juice on it, and then it just went up to 408.50, so that's $1 right there back and forth. I'm here for that. So if that, you know, if we can get back up, I just don't want to mess around with it here. Because, well, I mean, I could. All right, 408, you know, 45, something like that. We'll see if we could take a little bit, just because if it's going to keep on popping up here, then we could take 50 cents. Because if the risk is ultimately going to be 409, then that's fine. So actually the risk to reward is fine right there. It was a good take on Apple, I believe, as we just got out at 60s. We talked about that. Now we only have 20% left. I'll probably just stop out. Not probably. Let's just switch this stop right now for us on Apple. So we are editing our stop now and trying to get that all fixed up. I was going to short more near 171, but right now, what am I short at? 73. Okay, watch this. 170.76, right? Stop order. In. So right there, we'll wait to see if that comes through. But that's what we're going to do, man. We're just going to try to play it safe, take the trade on Apple. If it comes back in, great. We've already cashed out 80% of this trade. So like you guys wanted to talk about education and things like that, I can't do any better than showing you physically my stop and telling you that we're already out. It was scalping. We talked about this 50-period moving average. Got out there, bounced, hit it, got out again when it came back. Right now you're breaking lower, but this is not good enough for me. We want to see if this fades the rest of the damn day, and I'll probably just take out some Palantir right here because it's not doing anything.
Yeah, and speaking of education, I just want to get some stuff in the chat. First of all, I love all the suggestions, and there's a lot of them. No chance can do all of them, but a couple of them are absolutely fantastic for some options for costumes. But you know, I saw this in the chat. This was Chris RML here. Just FYI, I lost every day in October. It's not working. The best advice I can give to like any trade for whatever, it doesn't matter the reason you're in a rut. The most simplistic thing you can do if you're in a downward turn is take a step back and ask yourself this, like, what of the trades that you typically make, like what in your toolbox, like which is the best idea, which is your go-to. It doesn't have to be the highest win rate, but certainly the one that you have the best read on and the best success with in the long term, or the thing that's still working. And whatever that answer is, go to that. like do less. Generally speaking, doing less is the best way to go about it if you're in a bit of a rut, and then find that thing which is either still working or has been the thing that does the best for you. And then scale back on everything else pretty much all the way as much as you can. I found that's advice that's worked for a lot of people throughout the years. Like stick to, you can always expand back out to other types of trades. If you are primarily I don't know, like a buy the dip, look for support in the day, or look for breakout trades, or trade low float runners, like whatever it is that works for you the best. Like generally go back to that. And if it's nothing, there's nothing wrong with taking a bit of a break. With only 10 minutes to go till we have the imbalances, cleaning some things up. If this is the range, we just get out on those bids. That's what we got to do. It is what it is. It's the same thing when I look over at pins. I still think we can roll over off these highs, and we're barcoding in front. It's not breaking 30, so I don't have to move my stop, but I am going to get a little bit more aggressive in the 80s and 70s if it does move into the downside. You have to when it's not really going anywhere. We have to be out of position by the end of the day, and I, generally speaking, want to be taking profits going into 350 and then holding for the rest. Jimbo Slice says, look at Caterpillar. Is it down more than... Oh, yeah, now 7.5% down on Caterpillar. This just seems to want lower. 7.5% on Caterpillar. And, okay, that daily chart has a bad wick, so let me just do this. I'm going to pull my trade ideas chart up because that'll be a little bit better to look at here. And I'll pull up the weekly, actually, on Caterpillar. I don't think there's anything fundamentally necessarily wrong with the company. Again, this is probably a lot of macro stuff going on. But on the weekly, I've said $200, and I guess that's an obvious number to say on a pullback, but it's the 200-period moving average on the weekly chart and its recent support. You look at the pullback that's being made here, I just feel like that's where you can get to. I'm going to be looking for a buy down there. It doesn't mean you have to sit on the bid or stink bid or whatever you want, but that's where I'm looking for this bad boy as a buy. It's bounced once off the 200-period moving average. Let's see if it can do it again. But not a great day for Caterpillar, but if you look at the weekly chart, you always have to put things into perspective when you're thinking about the long term. Let's go to the desk and handle some biz.
Brought to you by IG.com. Trade Forex pairs like Euro USD with spreads as low as 0.8 pips and zero commissions at IG. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, now that
You check out IG, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
How the metrics being on the show. Okay, right now we're gonna watch out Apple. There it is. Finally, guys, let's go ring the Reggie again on this one. And that's what you got to do. You have to educate. You have to trade, and you have to show what's good. And there it is, right there. There's Apple. We talked about it. And again, off the sticky note right there. Damn you, Nvidia. Honestly, man, 406. Stopped out by 30 cents. Apple 171 SS.
What was the high of the day today?
Well, yeah, I'm short the high of the day. 170.73. I have basically top
30
tick right
points.
there. Yeah, so we took it right there. Now we're back in, and yeah, we were going to load up if it got closer, but it didn't, so we did not. But that was still a good trade for us. The only thing that was wrong on, well, nothing, just the AMD 98. It's still at 98, but this is, if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you probably haven't watched the show enough. But right here, this is the sticky note. It's Sticky Note Nation, of course, and there it is right here. Google, actually Google didn't really, the market didn't drop today, so, well, it dropped, but there's 400 on Nvidia, Apple, AMD, Tesla as well, all on there with some nice explanations here of what we're looking at, so on and so forth. So go check it out at Trader TV, Sean. You can be a part of the nation. Okay, so right there, Nvidia, again, the number one, like I said, the number one stock, number one trade for me for the month was that short. 400, we hit it, we got it, and the P&L reflects that. But right there, whoopsies, we don't need this ellipse on right now. But there we go, we tried it up top at 408. Fortunately, we took money and then got stopped. Basically, I feel like we're down a little bit right now after all of that, but not much. I could tell because we do have a loss from top, but the Apple trade's helping that. So right there, 408.75. We got stopped out at 408.55 once it finally took 408.50. So again, shorts 408, got stopped out on those. That made money, then stopped out on the reload, and now you just hit 406.50. And remember I said I felt like this was the one that had the best risk to reward behind it, just because of the moves that we know is there, and because it put this top in. It's a lot different than Apple, where it's like, sure, Apple's gonna put you to sleep taking 20 or 30 cents, great. Like, I didn't even wanna take that, but you know, NVIDIA, a little bit more action, and of course, you guys are gonna trade whatever share size you guys want. So on Apple, like a 40 cent or 30 cent win, you know, you may have, or trade, not win, you may have gotten 100 shares on, but maybe NVIDIA, you only put on 20 shares because of the price and the price action. So here we go. Nice move down. It looks like we will most likely end our day at the highest spot. Why? Because we just rang the register on Palantir. So that unrealized profit goes in again at VWAP. So that was a good one. And then for now, Apple is pulling back in. We only have 4 minutes, 6 minutes now until those imbalances come out. I feel comfortable putting a bid at 170.25 right now for Apple. If it continues to tank down, so be it. It'll be, like I said, it's my best day anyways this month. So if we can get a nice move down into 170.28, we'll take that. Good to go so far here today. Apple, Palantir, only 2 left.
There was a quick question about about AMD. I see the implied move as 6.5%. Either direction. I'm thinking that is well within the realm of reasonable for advanced micro devices. I wanted to quickly show, if you look at it's sitting pretty much right in the middle of its established range, and it's just looking at a trend, like 90 at the bottom, if you draw a trend line that it's been sitting on, then 105 at the top. So you're essentially right inside of the trend line is what it's telling you is the expected move. But do not forget what happened to Intel. Intel was very much the same kind of thing. Intel was, I wasn't here on the Friday after, but I want to say it was 10 or 11%. Could be off by a little bit on that one. But yeah, I mean, Intel went more than expected. So I would not be surprised if you were to break away from that. But that's the first place I'm looking tomorrow is going to be at the edges of those trend lines. And any sort of recovery, like a break underneath and a recovery back inside the trend, to me will be a signal for a long. If any break of the top and then back underneath that would be a signal for the short, or consolidations above and below. Like, I want to be playing off of those trend lines in either direction come tomorrow morning when we get AMD. But they're not alone. There's going to be a lot of other names that we'll be looking for earnings, not just tomorrow, but the week. Obviously, Apple's going to be one of those. We'll see what happens as far as trading in the aftermarket. I mean, none of those levels I think matter. Like, if I'm drawing a trend line, that has nothing to do with what I think can happen aftermarket. That's completely irrelevant. Those kind of levels matter in the open market tomorrow morning, and that's the only way I would ever play off of them. I just trimmed Micron because if it's not going, I got some out flat. I still think we can pull back in here off of this high, but if it's not moving right now, then I think it makes sense to take something out there. SoFi for tomorrow. I thought we'd get to 760 today, 750. If this was doing anything, one more push up, I might have taken this trade on a fade. But if you're wondering why 760, just that was the breakout that failed yesterday. So I was looking for another test of that level. There was never really a test. I shorted it once, 725, out 730. Was willing to put up 5 cents on that little move there, and it never gave a shot at this higher level. And we're at least not close enough for me to like it risk to reward. So SoFi up 8%, good recovery day, but remember, it could not bust through that 760 level. That's going to be the big test for SoFi. Another name with basically the same thing as AMD in terms of a channel to the downside. If it can break 760, I think it's got a lot of room, but that's still on the path or the war path for that stock. SoFi has to break. Steve G saying 789 before you go long. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm looking for the short at 760. I don't even know where I would go long SoFi at this point. Maybe above $8 here. Like, breaking the 50 period would be nice.
Yeah, I was going to say wait for $1, but no, it's not going down to $1.
$1? Oh yeah, all in.
For SoFi, it's not going.
Just like that, you push the chip. Well, I don't know, push the chip.
If it was down at $1, it's probably going to the pink sheets at that point. I don't think. I mean, SoFi. That was just a
Well,
joke.
it's the thing. If a stock does something like that, it's
there's
probably
something
not
wrong
for a
with
good
it.
reason. Something's wrong.
me check
But
out
in
what
a
our-
general sense, I wish I could own it at $1. It's
Of
just
course, yeah.
The chance of that happening.
Lots at $1. That's
Virgin Galactic's going to $1. I'll tell you that.
that's why you want to be invested in these names, the big names. You know, like I told stories about
BlackBerry.
like buying Nvidia at $100 and buying Amazon at $100 and buying. You know, it's like sometimes prices seem to be a little bit crazy, but you got to buy the right names in the right sectors and the right blah blah blah. It just goes on and on. It's the same story over and over again. All right,
And then hold them for years. Like that's the other key thing is
yeah. Well,
holding
it's,
for
yeah,
years.
depending on. If
Well, I
you're
mean-
investing or what.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about investing.
Yeah. Like with SoFi down there at $1. That might be a trade, not a hold. Okay, so, all right. What else you guys want to do right now? Let's just check back to see how bad our meta trade looks. No, actually, meta, wow, right at the same level. And look again, it came, like, see? This is what I mean. There's only going to be so many opportunities, and you got to be able to look at them. And then if you do, you know, that's why, like right now, we talk about going 7-1 today because we did. But also the reason why, looking at 6 names, 5 names, 4 names, 3 names, 20 names. It's all about what you can handle and where the opportunities are. But like if you're on meta, that's probably a reload, you know, but instead, like I'm looking and saying, okay, what's going on with Palantir here? What's going on with NVIDIA? This and that. It's blaming myself. You know, you really need to sometimes stick on kind of like the same names. But again, if there are movements, that's why we do look at the chat and we do want to figure out, we do have Brendan in our ear as well. Here we go, Reliable Rudy, there we go. See, like Alibaba. So another name that I really like, that I really like to trade is straight up fire right now over the last hour or so. Alibaba, yeah, that's a good one. Right back into pre-market. Like I can't recommend a trade now. It's $349. So actually, with that being said, I'm actually going to cancel my Nvidia.
What's jokes is I think I said this was a this level. I think I said was a short on
yeah,
lunch money.
It looks great.
But there's no chance, not at 350. No chance. Because and the reason for that is because there's not enough time for it to work. It could work. There's just not enough time for it to work. The imbalances are coming out in 3 seconds. So if anybody was asking, I saw this in the chat, like where can you see imbalances? It's in the market data feed, but you got to ask your broker. We get it in P Pro 8 automatically as part of the Rivian. Rivian's $4 million to buy. That is the biggest one off the top of the list. Remember, it is the end of the month. Ford, 1 million doesn't matter. Riot is 1.2 million to buy. AbbVie, Snapchat, 1 million to sell. Where are the big cap tech names? Not really seeing anything there. Amazon's there for 800,000 to buy on Amazon. It's 821 million to buy, but yeah, nothing crazy despite the end of the month. Amazon looks like it's the one that stood out. For big cap tech. Apple there, 500,000, 570 to buy.
Yeah, Apple will probably get, I mean, Apple just went basically from 40s to 70s there. This is why I'm saying, like, it's very, very tough to figure out what you're going to do.
Rivian.
If you're going to go against the imbalances. So right there, we almost got taken out. You guys know we're stopped out at 170, 70. Like right there, back to flat. It's fine. It's our last 20%. Kind of thought this may happen to this once we did come through with those imbalances. So, okay, nice move down again. See, so this is what I mean. All right, Palantir. Let's just get Palantir out if we can. We'll sit there, get an 86er if it comes through. That would be nice. Softy, what did NVIDIA? I see NVIDIA 408 almost came back into play right there again. Could be a good short if that comes through. AMD, is there any movement here before earnings quickly? No. So AMD basically flatlining there into the close. You know, we got stopped right in the middle, which looked to me as a good stop. We just got our Palantir there at 86, so ring the register for, again, another top name here today. NVIDIA, Palantir, Microsoft. What was the other one? Not AMD's the one that, Meta was the other one that we are red on. We're red on AMD today, and the reason why we're red is because we just kept shorting up here near 98. And just, it's small, but still, nothing really worked down to the downside for us. And then we shorted again and just kept getting stopped out. It's just small hits, which is nice. So that's the benefit of scalping out, right? And the benefit of scalping out also is getting ticks like this. Like when NVIDIA right now from the bottom, like we have this tick there at 393, like it's at 407 and touched 408.50. So you had $15 reversal. But because we're able to scalp it out within minutes, we get out. And the same truth is that of Meta. We have a 97 fill on Meta as well. That brought back in. So that's a $3 move instantly. And now, of course, you're not getting too much action on either one of these names. But it should be good, man. We have a couple good earnings coming through. Did First Solar do anything? That's going to be another big name. Amgen is expensive, but yeah, First Solar doing nothing into the close. So it's just going to be AMD. I'm excited for it. We'll try to find out roughly the time that it's going to come through. But hey, man, we're going to be on AMD coming into the close. So in just 4 or 5 minutes, join me. I got to go up there pretty soon because I think that computer is a little bit wonky. So we got to make sure that it's all working.
There were some issues during lunch money.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. So it's fine. It just sits there all day. A couple of things. I got out of Open Door and Micron. Basically, both of them were just at flat. Was no longer moving. There was a story affecting all the real estate, most of the real estate names, at least the ones that we looked at. And yeah, the Huadong to the downside, and then there's your consolidation level. So I saw that and said, okay, well, if somebody's selling at 190 and it's obvious somebody was, just join them and get what you can out of it. Pins did start to roll over. Let's see how far it can go. I don't know if it can get to VWAP at this point. You know, like it just kind of pulled back into 29.70. So a $30 level. We'll see if this is still a good short tomorrow, but the daily chart tells you the stock has had trouble at 30, but just not exactly at 30. If it breaks 30 even, I'm not sure this is a breakout till it closes above 31. So yes, 30 was good this afternoon, but this could still go a level higher and not have a breakout on it. So great day for Pinterest, up 19% today. But you know, truthfully, unless you bought that dip at the open, most of the day has been short 30 or long 29.5. Like that's probably 90% of the trading day would have been trading inside of that range, and then right at the open you had an opportunity for a bigger move. That's where environment matters, because at the open you were looking big trade. Everything after that you're looking for some relatively tighter stops and a smaller range, and a lot of scalp trading. You can do both on an individual name. Just got to know what kind of market you're in and what kind of stock it is. Tobe saying AMC will continue to run into their earnings on November 8th. I don't know. I know that I got out too early today off the 10 level, and it didn't get to 11. That's where I think the next opportunity for not a guaranteed short trade, but you know, the next place I would look for a short trade is up here at 11. And even breaking 11 quarter is a local high in AMC. AMC, GME, Tupperware, a bunch of squeeze-ish type names going to the upside today. Looks like Rivian paired off. I don't see it at 4 million anymore. Probably paired all the way off. I'm not seeing it there. Nothing really big. IBM, not a big deal. IV still there. Pfizer is a small, like 1 million buy at the end of the month is not a very big buy. Ford, 1 million is not a big deal. So anything that was big or a decent size imbalance seems to have paired off. I'd say the imbalances are more of a nothing burger today, given the fact that it's the end of the month. A lot of times you'll see a little bit more than that. Apple now goes to 171. Yeah, but it's too late in the day. Like this is, yes, I like the level, but if it's going to press into 171, like there, even then, it still only goes to like 88, right? So it's way too late. With 4 minutes to go, I'm not going to put any new trades on. I do want to, I want to shout out, and I apologize for this, actually. Not that Canadians always apologize. I was asked last week for a list of my favorite movies. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I didn't. And then today I was asked the same thing again. So because it's Halloween, I decided to post my favorite scary movies of all time. So if you want to check it out, I'm a big movie guy. I did put that out on Twitter. It's right there for you. I don't want to hear what everyone else thinks. I think all time the greatest is going to be The Exorcist. But number 3 is the one. If you're into thrillers and sci-fi, Event Horizon is the most underrated thriller and sci-fi movie out there. If you liked Alien, I'm just saying, like, you give that one a chance if you're into that genre. It's a great one there. I love The Omen. You can see the list, but I'm a big thriller buff, sci-fi. I like some horror films, even like slasher films. My wife cannot stand slasher films, so I have to watch them by myself. But yeah, let me know what you guys know, like. SoFi is making a run at the high of the day. I kind of want to be looking at AMD going into the close, so I'm just going to pop it there. Going to have to bid out of Pinterest. That's popping up a little bit as well. So I'm out of Pinterest. No more positions for me. Just going to double check, cancel any script orders that I have, because you don't want those to trigger in the aftermarket. And let's see what happens with AMD. That's where you guys are going to be headed. This is the big name out there. Squash battles, Cloverfield. I think if my list was a top 50, Cloverfield might have made it. But I can't go that far. Cloverfield's decent. I don't know if it could make my top 10. It was tough doing it, but man, Event Horizon is a good one. AMD is on an absolute tear, 2.5%. And it's going to close at the high of the day with only 2 minutes to go. This has been a pretty strong move to the upside. And it's a lot of, I mean, it's pressing in volume as well. I don't know if you guys, yeah, you guys can see that. It gets pressing in terms of volume as it gets to these highs. Still inside the range. So I'm looking for a test of 90, a test of 105. I love that channel. It's been a good one. I think I want to respect it until it proves otherwise. So that's going to be a good one. Do not ignore the solar names. As Sean was mentioning, you know, First Solar, that's where the earnings are. But I mean, all of the entire group is going to be pretty decent. Still some interesting names. Steve G, Poltergeist. That scared the living crap out of me as a kid. It doesn't hold up as well as it used to. Intel running on volume. Intel did 10% yesterday. I have a funny feeling that AMD might be a little bit more volatile than that 6.5%, but that's based on Intel doing 10%. Intel 37 tomorrow. That's where this sucker could be headed. 2.5% today, but I mean the entire chip names, at least most of them, have been pretty solid to the upside. So good look. We're not going to put any new trades on, but you know, 37. I think that's low-hanging fruit to look at this level tomorrow for Intel, especially given that we know AMD is going to be volatile. That entire space will be good. We'll be watching some Micron. We'll be watching some ARM as well. I think that's going to be a decent play. We have 1 minute to go. I'm pretty sure Adair is going to be on the bell. But just a shout out to, I mean, it wasn't just us that were dressing up. Adair in costume, Kat in costume, Fabian in costume, Obi in costume. So we had a lot of fun today. I don't know what everyone else was wearing today, but Halloween, I hope you enjoy it, to be sure. Be safe out there. It's pretty cold. If you're in Canada, you have to bundle the hell up because I think it's like 5 degrees, which is pretty darn close to freezing, or way too close to freezing for my liking. So 30 seconds to go in the day. AMD on tap. A little First Solar action as well. And, oh, hey, it looks like it's going to be Fabian and Ramin are going to ring the bell together. Fantastic. And Katrine. So Kat's going to be, get the camera off me. Get the camera on them. All three of them. Great costumes. Always having fun. Fantastic crew we have here. But you know what to do in 5, 4. You can see it. I'll shut up. And the market is now closed. So we'll get right into it. Just as you saw right there, fantastic crew as always. Adara, Kat, Fabian, Ramin on the 1s and 2s. While someone has to be on the 1s and 2s during the show to close the show there. Want to shout out to Obi filling in for Sharif, who wasn't feeling well, doing a great job. Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi Master himself. And as always, Brendan doing a great job at the desk, giving us the news. And our guest, Frank. You know, we love Frank. He comes through, he drops a lot of knowledge. You know who I am. I'm Frozone. But we got to throw it over to the desk, to the Bitcoin man himself, Mr. Katina, and the recap show for AMD earnings. Should be wild.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me here on the Market Recap Show. We'll just keep the chains on today and not go with the Bitcoin, but we are excited.